Okay, welcome again back to Bland Gaming. This is episode 4 of the Meet My Players. Today we have Fishsticks with us, and we're going to be talking our way through this gigantic stack of books here. Fishsticks, thanks for being with us. I'm Deeb, your host. The first thing that we've got to do here, because it's the Bland Gaming channel, we got to talk about the Bland Gaming drink of the day. What do we have?
We have old fashions.
We have old fashions.
It's a drink of every day.
It is, but we were out of Buffalo Trace, so we had to make it with Four Roses bourbon tonight, which is okay. So, get this off, right? Okay. Oh God, that's good. Okay.
Wow.
So both of us have been, we've been cutting down on our drinking a little bit and everything. I think me a little bit more than you, and I really miss that. So, okay. So before we get into the games and stuff, so first let's talk about you, Fishsticks. Let's talk about who you are. So your anonymity. Look at me get that word like anonymity. Okay. So
well, first of all, everybody, these are my hands.
Right.
They are different than Deeb's hands.
They are.
Just understand black ring versus gold ring.
Yes, it matches your heart.
Yes.
The darkness of your heart.
Like my soul.
Absolutely. Yeah. So mine is gold and pure. Yes. And his is, you're the yang and I'm the yin. I don't know. Okay. So, and you've got the Lannister. Lannister coaster.
Although I don't play a Lannister on TV.
I do have the Baratheon coaster. And okay, so let's talk about who you are. You can be as anonymous as you want. It's up to you. But the big thing is you cannot say what who I am, what I do, and you cannot say what. Actually, Jade has also said that she does not want her name or her. And then also, Malamus has since retired. But I think I don't think he's still ready to go public
He's
yet.
OPSEC, so...
Yes, exactly, yes. So we can't say what he does. Okay. All right, so tell us about yourself.
So I am in my mid-40s. That puts me towards the younger end of this group, if I recall correctly.
You're in the same... We're all middle-aged, quasi-married people. I think we're all married, aren't we?
At this point, I think we're all married.
We all are.
So
we've
gone through some ups and downs. I personally have gone through some status changes over the time.
We've also had some younger people. For a while, my son played with us for a little bit too. So he's but we learned our lesson from that. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, we miss him. So.
Yeah, we do miss him. But we'll talk about some other younger players that didn't. Here I said it. We got to be positive. We're not going to bag anyone. But we'll talk about some other problematic problems in our games and everything. Okay. So you're in your mid-40s.
I'm in my mid-40s. I'm in the tech field. I am the vice president of an IT consultancy on the West Coast.
Yes. You are the guy that has been deeply annoyed with how technically inept it like physically hurts you to watch my channel and see how awful it is with technology.
Actually, I am fond of you, and so I enjoy your content when I can. We've talked about the format and everything else, and when I have time to look at that. But if we're going to play bash on Deeb for his lack of technical prowess, we could talk about virtual tabletop and his absolute unwillingness to explore that.
Unsubscribe. That is an entire.
Stop the video.
That is an unsubscribe. That is an entirely. That is an entire. We could make an entire video from that. Honestly,
I think we could.
Of you talk about my rejection of virtual tabletop and stuff because you're into that. No. Okay, so you are. Let's see. You're married.
Yes.
Right? You have a non-gaming wife, just like me.
I have a non-gaming wife. My wife is into natural and living things, and I am into gaming for my other stuff, and for my off time and dead things, as I like to say, for my profession.
Yes, you are a car guy, and you are a computer guy, and you are a gun guy.
Yes.
And you are like I've called you before the human Swiss Army knife, and you are the human Swiss Army knife. I've also joked, and this is no joke, ladies and gentlemen, that on day 1 of the zombie apocalypse, Fishsticks is like the most valuable guy in the entire settlement, just as far as the things that he is able to do. I think about the things like my talents and stuff like that, and I'd be dead in the first week were it not for him. So I'm loading my entire family into the truck, and we're going over to your place, and we're going to hole up at your place. And
I would just like to preface what has been said about me with also the the fact that I am not a crazy conspiracy theorist and I own no tinfoil hats.
maybe that is funny because I did say that. No, but you're kind of like you're like the bard of life. You're like good at everything. So master.
I'm okay at everything.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So what do they say? Like master of none, but
yes.
Jack of all trades.
Yes, a
master
jack of all
none.
trades.
Yes.
Why are we not having a command of the English language tonight?
Because we're drinking. We just started
drinking.
We did not pre-funk, ladies and gentlemen. We did not pre-funk.
There was a gin and tonic earlier.
No, shh. Quiet, you.
Just me.
Just quiet. No, I didn't have a gin and tonic.
No, you didn't, but I said just myself. So.
Okay.
We had another company and
I haven't been, Bland Gaming, Dr. Bland Gaming has been telling Mr. Bland Gaming to ease off on the sauce, so I've been trying not to drink as much. So.
You know, we are getting up in our years and...
We are indeed. Yeah. So can we say, I guess we're going to ask, or I'm going to say it anyway. Mm-hmm. So you're a dad.
I am a dad.
Yes.
And, one kid is grown. Mm-hmm. So he
is he fully grown? Is he 18?
He's 19.
19.
He turned 19 a short time ago. So.
Okay. Yeah. So we're both parents. We have that in common. Mm-hmm. So, and my sons are morons. So
my son is also a moron, but perhaps in a different way.
So we have that. Yeah. So we have that in common.
Yes.
Everything. So my sons. I don't know if you understand the reference, but.
Mm-hmm.
My sons are turning me into Murray Goldberg, if you've ever watched that show, but I don't think you have because you're not a big watching TV guy. So
I am not a TV watching guy, nor am I a big news watching guy,
or a sitcom
guy. None of that. I try to curate my intake of information to certain places that don't have an agenda whenever possible, which is impossible.
But the thing we want to get out there is you're a mid-40s professional computer guy. You owned your own business until you sold it. So very successful business owner.
I still sort of own a business, but it's not just my business anymore.
Yeah, that's a technical part.
It gets complicated. So.
Okay, so that's our basic background on you. So then let's talk about your experience with role-playing games. How long have you been playing role-playing games?
I first played a role-playing game when I was around 10 years old. It was not D&D. D&D was not the first role-playing game that I played. It was a game called Car Wars.
Oh. I remember that. That was a miniatures game, though. I never played a role-playing game version of it.
There was a pen and paper element to it as well, but there were miniatures that went along with it. And that was actually... By playing that, I ended up hooking up with the group that we ended up starting playing D&D with. I was 10. My other friend was also around 10. We had a couple neighbor kids down the road. One was 12, one was 14, and that was my first gaming group. John, Sam, Billy, and myself.
You're not supposed to use people's
these people don't exist anymore.
Yeah, but you're still not supposed to use their names.
You know what?
Not on this channel.
Okay.
So, hey, you remember how I told you that I don't edit my videos?
Yeah.
Everything. So I'm going to edit this one right now because I noticed that I have been filming this vertically.
Oh,
and my viewers freaking hate it.
Why don't you just make the
transition? If I make the transition, then they're going to be watching it sideways for the rest of the game, for the rest of the time.
Goodness.
So I'm going to stop
Technical acumen. Can we get somebody to support this channel with some video editing?
No, it's my channel and I want it plain and bland. So, all right, we're going to stop for just a second, but everybody at home, blink your eyes and then we're going to be in the correct, twinkle your nose, blink your eyes, and then we will be correctly horizontal. Oh my God, that's so much better. And now we can see your big, muscular, hairy forearms too.
Oh, so, yes, absolutely Popeye forearms.
Okay, that is so much better.
Yes.
Okay, so you did Car Wars, and then you are also, a lot like Malamus, you are one of the players in my group that has actually GM'd yourself. You used to DM quite a bit, right? Okay, so what games did you play prior to coming into my campaigns?
I have done, obviously, Dungeons and Dragons. I'm trying to think far back. It's getting a little foggy as we get that far back. I've done Robotech.
It was a Palladium game, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a Palladium game. Also the Palladium fantasy game, which the name is...
Beyond the Supernatural. Rifts is another one that Palladium made.
I've played GURPS, I've played MERPS, I've played Call of Cthulhu, obviously. We've done... Obviously Pathfinder, various things of... all the versions of D&D except 4th, because it doesn't exist. And then that's all that's coming to mind right now, but I know there's more.
Now, were you actively playing role-playing games when you got, because I have some people that stopped like in their college years or in their high school years, and then they kind of came back to it. Like Malamus is a guy that, I mean, he was like, he hadn't done it for like decades. Yeah. And then came back to our group and played in our group and stuff like that. So did you wind up playing, were you regularly playing when I bumped into you and ran into you and when I met you?
Regularly-ish. So I have still had, I've kept contact with a couple people from way back when. One of our other mutual friends and I have been in various gaming groups together. We've joined other groups together. We've been kicked out of other groups together.
Yes.
But yeah, I would not say that it was as regular as when we started back up. I think we could say I was between groups at the point. But there were no breaks of significant time. Maybe 6 months here, a year there. Just, if I was moving or work got busy or something like that. But yeah.
So let's talk about this then. God, what year was that? So this was it. This was our first game.
Oh my goodness.
That we ever played together. We played Song of Ice and Fire role-playing. I cannot believe that I still own this book.
I think I looked at Google Photos a while back.
What year was this?
It was the last photos I have. And this is when, this was not a role-playing session, but it was a certain session when some of our Canadian friends came down. And it was 2010, 2011?
Yeah, goodness. That is a doozy. So 14 years ago was when we started playing this. Yeah. So I remember that I just had met you and knew you casually. Your wife of that time worked at a coffee shop that I was a regular at. And we needed another player, and I remember I would talk to you from time to time. Yes. And then we wound up inviting you into this group here. And what's interesting is, of all my players, you are the only one from the Song of Ice and Fire group who still plays with my group, right? Everybody has moved on.
You're correct.
Yeah, you're the last one.
I was going to say Aardvark, but he was
not.
Conan.
He was Conan. So, he was a Conan player. So, all right, so let's talk about this. So, it should be noted that when we started playing this, the series was not over. So
I don't even think the series was really...
It was like...
Wasn't in season 1, season 2?
It was season 2.
Yes.
So the one thing that was so appealing about playing in this setting was we did not know who was going to be, we didn't know that it was going to end with that awful season.
Most of us had been through all 5 books.
Yes. Yeah, we were big readers of the books, and there were a few players that were fans of the show.
Well, the show was still staying true to the books for the most part, and so I think there was a lot of hope and goodwill and everything else, and then we all know what happened.
Yeah. So in this game, let's talk about it. So the way that Song of Ice and Fire is structured is the players actually, in session 0, you make your own house. And then your house is, you decide it is a sub-house or it's a banner house of one of the major players in Westeros at the time.
I was not actually here for creating of the house.
No, because you joined the game
Nor was I actually part of the house.
Yes.
So there's...
Yes.
That's a long rabbit hole to go down.
It is. So we decided, my group decided that they wanted to be, they wanted to go the safe way, and they decided that they wanted to be Northmen. So they were a banner house to the Starks, and I think the name of the house was Dresden. And they chose a gigantic frost bear as their sigil. And we had some players that were, the whole thing was the house was befallen by tragedy, and we had one player, I believe, that was he was an actual member of the house.
Yes, there was a succession crisis. If I
There
recall
was
correctly.
in our first game. There was definitely a succession crisis in that, and the Lord was assassinated, and then his wife, who was she was not a Greyjoy, but she was one of the
banner houses too.
Yeah, she was a banner house to Greyjoy, married into the North House there to make peace, and she had tried to seize the house and take control, and there was
I miss our maester.
Yeah, there was a time when you guys were operating in exile, and then you had to kind of retake the house. But when we talk about let's talk about your character. Who was your character? Tell us about him.
So we took some creative license with the actual canon of the series, and I was I took a bastard name for the Vale. But what happened was I was actually a younger brother to John Aaron, who got into some shenanigans and decided it was mutually decided that it was best that I live in exile. And so I took a stone name and I started wandering around. I had a lot of weight on my shoulder. I had a lot of booze in my stomach, and I was headed down the path that leads off of a cliff. So my story, Artus's story, was something of a redemption arc. It was a chance meeting where he was in the North and happened to, well, for lack of a better term, happened to get bushwhacked by a couple unsavory folks who happened to be, I cannot remember what house they were, but they were just not, they were not a pleasant house. They were probably from the Iron Isles, and we know how that goes. And it was just one of those things where I ended up in a fight, and then someone saw the tussle and came along, and that's the chance meeting that we had. Not quite you're in a bar, but you know, it worked.
And then he becomes captain of the guard for House Dresden, for their house later on. So, all right, well, let's talk, because we got a big stack of books to go through here. So let's talk about what worked for, well, first let's talk about the structure. So the way that I did this, and I think I've talked about this in my previous videos, is that every time we sat down to play, did we have 6 or did we have 8?
We had 6.
6, okay. So we had a big group.
Yes.
And every time we sat down to play, there was one main plot that everyone was going through, and then everyone had their own separate side plots. And I remembered that it was extremely fun to play, but it was extremely challenging as a GM.
The amount of game prep that you probably had.
A lot of work, but it was fun. It was fun to have it happen and everything. So, so tell me, what did you like about this game? And what didn't you like about it?
I liked, and I still like, the world. I like the lore. I like the kind of idea where you have to play the Game of Thrones, because if you don't, you play or you die.
100%.
So
we would spend hours just playing like intrigue. We would play out a dinner and we would play like that would be an entire night session where they'd be eating at a feast or something like that.
We really turned this into a role-playing sandbox, which was excellent, because we had a good team of people who were invested in their characters and in the story, and who wanted to do that. We could spend 2 hours going having dinner and not actually having dinner. That's what I liked about this. What I didn't like was everything else. This, and I'm sure this has been touched on, and click away now if you're a big fan of this game system. But this game essentially has 2 combat systems. It has a swords combat system, and it has a words combat system. And we tried the words combat system, which is called Intrigue, and it was the most robotic, flow interrupting, and just immersion breaking thing I think I have ever seen in a game. It is the worst. We literally threw half the rule set of this game out.
We did.
So
yeah,
I have done house rules for a lot of things, games that I've run, games that I've played in. I have never been a party to pruning as much of a game off as we have with this game.
So just to bring everybody who's watching up to speed, what this system entails would be if you were having a conversation with someone and you were trying to get something out of them, or you'd have an end goal, you would roll the dice just like combat, and you would use things like, I remember, like you'd get bonuses if you were wearing like pretty pearls or good, and it would almost be like those are weapons which add damage, and you're doing damage to each other, and it just...
think of it as an expansion of like the persuasion or the manipulation skill in other RPGs, except they just kept going with it.
Right.
And it really, the problem is you could have a good role-playing session and make a lot of sense and, maybe find a beneficial deal, but it all came down to those rolls. And I understand that we take all sorts of game mechanics with a grain of salt, and we play around them, and we play how we want to play. And that's ultimately what we had to do here. But it was very hard to kind of mold that to the style of the game that we all wanted to play, and so it was much easier to just remove that section entirely.
Yeah. We had a pretty robust group, I think, that enjoyed playing out those conversations. I know as a GM, I enjoyed playing out the aggressor in those conversations.
Yes.
Playing it out rather than, I didn't want to roll a reactionary roll or anything like that. I do remember, though, we had a couple characters that were, there's one player that like bumped up his sense motive, and he was always like going, I want to sense his motive. And it's like, I'm not going to reveal that to you. Yeah, because if I do that, that's a major spoiler right now, and there's no point in playing the game.
That's the same trap as Zone of Truth and Clairvoyance and like your D&Ds and stuff like that. You just have to mitigate that.
100%.
Would that section of the system that we decided to axe work well for maybe another group? People who aren't quite as on the fly with speech and words and role playing and everything else, possibly. So I don't want to completely impugn the folks who wrote this and say that they're can we cuss in this, or are we PG-13?
Well, I don't know.
I don't want to say that they're shit people or anything like that.
I can't tell you how many F-bombs Malmus dropped in my...
all of them, if I know him.
Yes, exactly.
So,
it was F-bomb after F-bomb after F-bomb. He can't stop. It's just in his...
So I don't want to impugn the authors and the people who made effort on this and say that their work is bad. It was definitely not a fit for our group.
I concur, and I think we had some good, strong role players. It was very interesting. Like, I kind of give hats off to our Meister player, because when he told me that he wanted, that's what I said. If he told me that when he told me that he wanted to play that, I was surprised by it because, they don't use spells. There's no real combat type of benefit to them.
Knowledge is the asset there.
Yeah, but I mean, there was no in-game advantage to playing a Maester.
And yet he was probably one of the most influential characters.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Of the party.
He was, we were seeing the story in a lot of ways through his eyes, and I thought that was very interesting, and I really enjoyed his character. The other thing I want to add to what you said is that what really made this game cool was we were playing this at a time when the setting was uncertain. We didn't know who was going to take the Iron Throne.
We were up to book 5, and that's what we had. I prefer to just pretend that a lot of things didn't happen that were on TV. And
we played this just before Robert is killed. So we played this before this.
So our TV show people were still a little bit in the dark.
They were.
It was kind of unfolding for them as well. Some of us knew. Everyone had everyone remembers back the videos of the Red Wedding reactions for all the people who hadn't read the book and everything else. So we got to live through that for our folks that hadn't read the books.
Yes. Okay. So. I feel like I'd be remiss if we didn't discuss why this game stopped.
Okay.
So I don't want to bash anyone or anything like that. I don't want to do anything like that.
We'll keep it light.
But I think there is a good gaming lesson to be learned here and everything. Oh, It is my anonymous wife coming home from her party.
Well, we should break so that we can greet her properly.
We can break, yeah. Hello, anonymous wife.
Hello, anonymous friend's wife.
We're doing a YouTube video. Don't mind us. I think so. All right. Yeah. Actually, let's pause this for a second. Okay. Hey, everybody that is watching, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it. Why don't you guys go and refill your drinks, and we'll be back here in just a second. Okay. Okay. So thank you for waiting. I hope you guys all got a drink. Fishsticks did. So you got another drink. So, all right. So I think what we have to do in order to discuss about what happened with this specific game, about why we stopped, was we were discussing this a little bit on the break and everything, and we need to talk about boundaries. Yes. So let's talk about, and we're talking about real life boundaries. So let's talk about that. So
how do we want to start with this?
Probably with a new toast.
Yes, that's a good idea. Right.
All right. Okay.
We had two players at our table who engaged in an inappropriate relationship. Not quite as inappropriate probably as people
It's not as bad as it sounds.
It's not as bad as it sounds.
No.
But one of them is married. Mm-hmm. There's quite an age discrepancy between the two of them. Mm-hmm. And things just got a little out of control. To the point where they were really doing inappropriate things. And I'm not one to judge people for their behavior unless it hurts other people. And it did hurt other people because it had the potential to very badly affect one person's marriage, and it obviously affected all the players of the game because part of their inappropriate relationship involved a lot of acting out at the gaming table. Mm-hmm. And it got to the point where it was very disruptive.
I think that's the issue, though, is it affected the game and everything, but again, it sounds worse than it is. So. It was really just two people focusing on each other instead of focusing on the game. And then it created tension in the sense that we had family members that were not just that person's, but other spouses approached me and said, I'm uncomfortable with this individual being around my spouse while they're at your house playing the game. Mm-hmm. And because of the behavior of one of the players. And so I think we have to look at that real life boundaries being violated can have a in-game effect, I think. Maybe that's the best way of putting it. So without getting too specific and without beating it. But I do want to emphasize that there was no infidelity or anything like that.
No one's going to jail.
That was committed or anything like that. There was no cheating or anything like that. Yeah. But there was definitely a lot of attention giving, and there was definitely maybe just some interactions that were mildly inappropriate that were taking place at the table, but also proved to be a distraction for both of those players. And then, much like what you said, it carried over into a distraction into...
Yes. It brought everyone else's game experience down.
And then it became such a distraction that the demeanor and the character was creating concern with family members that were not involved in the game. Yes. And so we wound up having to kind of scrap the whole thing and stuff. So, so yes, without getting too much into that is what caused us to stop playing this game here. So let's talk about, I'm going to sneeze. Pardon me.
Excellent.
My goodness.
Sneeze.
Well,
best sneeze I've heard all day.
Thank you, everyone. I'm allergic to bourbon. So then let's talk about after Song of Ice and Fire. We went, I want to say we went light, but I don't know if this was a light game. Rules light. I think after
Crunch light.
Yes, because after would you classify Song of Ice and Fire as a crunchy game?
It had the potential to be a lot crunchier than we played it.
Yeah.
I think the way we played it, and I think for your average player that isn't crunch averse, I think it's moderate crunch. I think another game that we're about to get into, not the next one, but the one after it, is much crunchier.
Interesting. You think so?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we don't want to get ahead of our audience.
No, we don't want to do that. So.
But I do think that there was. Remember, there was a couple problematic things that occurred in A Song of Ice and Fire with we were just discussing actually with. We were just discussing with. I can't remember his code name.
Patu?
Yes, Patu. Okay, so we were discussing with Patu about we had the problem where we had an archer that just could not miss, and everything that he shot went straight through the eye hole, and he killed anything that he could shoot at. And he was an extremely good player as far as like strategically building a skill set. And what he did was, and I think it was interesting what you said. I like what you said. You said that we had these players that found these issues that probably would have come out during play testing,
Well, let me clarify that just a little bit, because I think you got the spirit of it, but there are some important details. I think some of the instances that have happened, and this particular instance that Deeb is talking about happened before I joined the group.
Did it? You were not a member of the group that night?
I was not a member of the group that night.
Okay.
It was a time or two after that.
Okay,
actually.
all right, interesting.
So what we had, at least my understanding of it from talking to Deeb and talking to the other players and whatnot, is we had a case where someone very effectively min-maxed a character. Everyone knows what that's about. People do it, people don't do it, whatever. Coupled with the fact that I think there may have been a misinterpretation of the rules from the game mastery side on what actually could happen. There may have been, so I build this character, he's really good at shooting, but how many times can he shoot in a round, for instance? And I'm not, again, I wasn't there, I don't know the exact mechanics of what happened, but you may be able to take one really nice, really good aim shot per round, and it does nasty things and everything else, but then that's all you can do. I have a feeling that there was a misrepresentation or a misunderstanding of what this particular character could probably do. Because it sounds like he did something like that a lot of times in a very short amount of time.
He did it one turn after another, but basically to bring everybody up to speed, they had their kind of confrontation with the main villains, and it was like a family. There were like 3 or 4 main villains, and then there was supposed to be a fight in a courtroom, and the way that the scenario was designed was a fighting escape with the players, and then they were supposed to kind of gather themselves and then come back and try and take their ancestral home back. That was what was designed in the scenario. But the big problem was this archer was so amazingly good that he pulled out one turn after another, and he shot and killed all of the major antagonists of the scenario, to where he wiped out the entire villains in the very first combat of the game, and it was very problematic. And I remember sitting there just going, well, we have to stop for tonight because I don't have anything else planned, and you basically just wiped out all of my major villains that I had built up for the entire scenario. And so for me, I remember it was particularly frustrating, and yet the poor guy, he was like going, geez, I didn't even realize I did this. So
once I joined the group, and I don't know what level of dialing back that was done there, or if we just, if there was a gentleman's agreement to play the character a different way or whatever. I wasn't part of that interaction, but I found him to be very good at what he did, but at the same time, a pretty balanced character. I think
he scaled it back after that night. Okay. I think he realized that, like, it was the equivalent of just walking into, walking into the throne room and shooting Cersei, Joffrey, and Lord Barristan and Jaime right through the forehead before anyone could do anything. That was pretty much what occurred, and it wouldn't have made for a very good book if that's what had happened in the book, right? But anyway, I think that he realized, he was just trying to make the best character that he could. So I don't think he had any malicious intent. I think that he just was trying to make a really good archer, and then he realized that, wow, I think I overdid it.
Yeah.
And so then I don't know if he self-policed or if he adjusted his stats. Quite frankly, what did we say? This was 14 years ago?
It was. And
yeah,
honestly,
so I can't remember, but I do remember that he was a exceptional player.
Yes,
and
he was
I
a good role player.
That, great role player.
This is a rabbit hole topic that we could go down and do an entire video on if we want to, but I think that the takeaway from this is probably that getting into an arms race with your players where people are min-maxing everything is obviously not productive behavior.
It's not fun. Yeah, it's not fun. And it doesn't serve a good story, and I think that's... So that brings me to our next game, because I was in the mood for something very rules light. And I think this is a very rules light system. And what I find very interesting is you are a big fan of this one.
I am a big fan of this.
Yeah, so let's talk about this.
So I actually have the hardbound storybooks.
Oh, yes, we do too. Yes, we do too. They're amazing. Amazing stuff.
So I love the books. I love the lore. I love the characters. I love the system. I love everything about this game. I mean, we could full stop right there.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. All right, let's talk about what this is, because some people, this is not a huge mainstream game. I mean, the graphic novels were very popular. The art obviously is really good. You're supposed to be flipping through
I'm supposed to be, sorry.
Yes, you're so bad at this.
I am. I'm terrible. That's why I don't
Get
have
on
my
the
own
phone.
YouTube
I'm going to have to find myself a new best friend.
My goodness.
All right. Somebody get Malmus on the line. Okay.
Yes, you can direct
No, I'm not going to tell him. I'm going to say, at least he doesn't swear as much as you do.
I can start.
So let's talk. Tell us what Mouse Guard is.
So Mouse Guard is a game where you play as anthropomorphic mice in a very small world that is not inhabited by humans, but is inhabited by other animals, insects, flora, fauna, etc. And the mice are organized into loose kingdoms, and there is interaction and conflict between various factions. A lot
with each other, and then also with
also with the natural world, and just trying to survive against things that are a lot bigger than you. Weasels, hares, you know, just all sorts of furry and non-furry things.
Well, the weasels were anthropomorphic as well. As a matter of fact, there was a huge war with the weasels that had occurred, and that was really cool. The weasels had a very orcish feel to them, I thought. Almost like
they were very
beastly.
expansionistic, but they were not. They weren't quite so brutish as like what you would think of a typical orc. They were more. There was an aspect of subtlety to them.
They were more civilized than orcs. Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm paging through here looking for like a nice 2-page picture, and I don't remember if there's one readily accessible.
Well, I love the fact that the art that they're using in this, and I'm sorry for the glare, everybody, but it's directly out of the comic book.
Yes, it's very true to the graphic novels.
If you have not read the graphic novels of Mouse Guard, I highly recommend them. They are very well done.
And they are not just for kids.
They are. I would argue that they are not for kids. No. They're not as mature as, say, something like the Dark Knight Returns, for instance.
No, they don't get into
they're not like that.
They don't get into a dark storyline or anything like that.
What was the one graphic novel? Now I'm brain farting.
You're losing me on graphic novels.
I know, but the one where it's the blue guy and it was a DC one and it was about the superhero team. Zack Snyder directed the film.
Like the Doc Manhattan?
Yes, yeah. What was that? What was that movie called?
I don't know. I don't watch TV.
Rorschach. He was so cool.
I don't
think so.
Yeah, I don't do TV.
Yeah, The Watchmen.
I don't do
The Watchmen. That was such a great movie and a very good comic book. But anyway, this one's not as bad as The Watchmen, but it is definitely very adult themes as far as violence goes.
Yes, there is an aspect of violence, but it's not body horror. It's not gratuitous violence.
Not gratuitous, but
it's not so dark that you couldn't let your 10-year-old kids.
I think 10 is fine.
Yeah,
I think 10
but
is
there's
fine.
still enough. There's enough meat in there to keep an adult, if you're interested in this, to keep an adult engaged through the books too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they fight snakes and stuff like that, and owls. Owls are almost like dragons in this genre. You know, you had the Owl Slayer, which was actually one of the players that we had in this group and stuff. So it's very interesting about playing this game is that you have really one set of die rolls for the entire combat, and then it's all theatrically
There's a card
played out
to it as well.
Yeah, there is a card mechanic. I think I do remember that. It's been a long time. Yes, where you play the cards out in 3 different rounds. Like, are you doing a offensive action? Are you doing a defensive action? Are you feinting? Or
it's been long enough that I don't remember the nuts and bolts of it exactly. So we should probably try to not do an impromptu deep dive on it.
No, I can't. We're not here to explain how to play, but we can basically say that this was a this
ranked high
in rules light.
Yes, this ranked high in Fishsticks satisfaction level for the games that we have played. I would say that most of them have ranked high. There are a couple ones that I'm not really interested in. Delta Green.
We'll get to that. We were, and I don't agree with you on that. But
I know, okay. But everyone has their flavor.
That's all right. So. That's right. Exactly. To each their own. So we also had a very good group with this. As a matter of fact, my son played with us. Remember, he was like the bee handler.
Your son played with us in several campaigns, and he is a valuable player, and that is. I don't want to be ageist or make any sort of stereotypes, but it is rare to see someone of that age play with that level of maturity.
Yeah, but he's still a moron. So
I mean, all of our teenage and post-teenage kids are morons. I was a moron well until 30.
Yeah, so. I am still. Yeah. My wife still tells me I'm a moron.
Well, so you're our moron though.
I will. Okay. I digress. Yeah, I am. But we had a good group of players, I think, in this group. And I remember right before, so I had read it in junior high, but middle school. But so I'm
going to stop and back up one second because we're going to say something a lot, and those words are we had a good group of players, and you'll hear that probably from every single one of these books. And we are blessed in that. We've had some swap outs, and we swap in and swap out for certain things, but we have achieved the dream with this group of having a core group that does 2 of the most essential things that you need for a role-playing group. And the first one, which is more important than anything else, is they show up. Our people show up. Everyone's an adult. They have jobs, they have kids, they have lives, but we find a way. And we have times when we go 2-3 months without being able to play. But when we buckle down and it's time, people show up.
It's pretty rare. We get nowadays we've been getting together at least once, maybe twice a month.
Yeah. So and I think for where we're all at in our lives, I think that's healthy. Number 2, when they do show up, with minor exceptions, they are engaged.
Yes. Yeah.
Even we don't have to have everybody who has a witty comeback to everything that's said or anything like that. We don't have everyone who is a min-max monster or a tactical monster or a role-playing monster, but the people who do show up are engaged. They come, they get something out of it, even if it's just for the social interaction. And we don't just get together with these people to game and then we leave. We hang out with these people. After the gaming session, we get together for non-gaming things.
I like it though. I mean, I like how you point out that people are engaged, because one of the things I really like about the groups that we've had is that even if it's not your character's turn, and even if your character's not in the scene per se,
we don't have people on their phones like, what's going on TikTok?
We do not. No, and that is actually one of my pet peeves. Yes. So I really like the fact that we have characters that are still engaged and everything.
Yes.
So I would say even despite the difficulties in the Song of Ice and Fire group, that was still an excellent group. And you have to remember, we played that, was it 2 or 3 years?
Longer than that.
Yeah.
I want to say it was getting close to 5.
That group hung together for quite a while. We did numerous campaigns with that.
And it was straight. I don't think we took a break.
No, not at all. Not at all. We were doing that. And back then, that was, I think that was like pre-kids for me, but no, it was...
You had Owen.
Yeah, we did. That's okay.
Yeah.
We did, but it was, I feel like we did it weekly. Like, Song of Ice and Fire, I think we had it every week. It was weekly or bi-weekly.
Everyone was local.
Really...
I stabbed the group in the back, and I moved an hour away from town. So, so that's on me. So when we get together to play or do stuff like this, Good job.
I'm chewing an ice cube. I just realized I'm wearing a microphone. I'm chewing an ice cube, so everyone at home can hear that.
We're professional YouTubers here.
Right? Yeah. No,
like, subscribe, hit the bell.
Oh my God, it's so bland. Okay.
But
so this game.
Yes.
I remember that with the story that I did with this game, I had just read again to my son at that time. I had just read to him Watership Down. And I first read that.
There's a lot of callbacks to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I first read that book. If you have not read Watership Down, it is such an amazing book. And the thing of it is that it, on its surface, it seems like it is a book about rabbits, but it's not. It is about a battle for survival, and the rabbits have warriors and they have a society. And I had just read that book just recently to my son because I had read it when I was in middle school. And then I got him these graphic novels, and he and I sat and we read these graphic novels. I think he was 12 or so when he first started playing this with us. And I was very inspired by Watership Down, and hence that was why the rabbits played such an important part of the campaign that we played in, and everything, where the mouse characters had become allied with a group of rabbits, but there were good rabbits and there were bad rabbits, and so that was a big inspiration.
I would like to point out that for Mouse Guard, our host Deeb is actually an accomplished sketch artist, and he drew sketches of each of our characters as they were imagined, and they were excellent. And if we were real YouTube people and we were prepared, we would have copies of those to show you because they're quite good. But we are not, and so we don't have those. So you're just going to have to imagine some really good sketches of anthropomorphic mice.
So the drawing, the pencil drawing that I did of your character, is the only picture that I have ever I used GIMP to digitally color it.
Yes, use that old Wacom tablet.
I did. Yes, I did, and it is actually my profile photo for my DeviantArt page.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. I used it. Yeah. So that was very fun to do that. One of these days, I'm going to print that out like high res and frame it for you. That picture of your character.
You should. Can you airbrush it?
No, I mean it's digitally.
I have some other airbrushes
and stuff.
Oh, you do. That's right. It's digitally colored. I have some old airbrushes from back in the early '90s, late '80s that I picked up when I was into buying that stuff, and I still have them.
Yep. So I think the thing about this system that I really liked, and then I guess we'll go into what you liked and what you didn't like about it. But the thing I really liked about this system is how the combat was very narrative based.
Yes.
And then the combat was also, you had to, at the beginning of the combat, the group had to say, this is our goal. So let's say you're getting into a fight with a snake, right? You had to sit there and declare out front, our goal of this combat is to escape from the snake, right? And the snake's goal is it's hungry and it's to eat one of the players, right? So then you would use statistics, weapons, things like that. The snake would have its assets. There would be some rolling off, and then there's a card mechanic that went with it. And then at the end of combat, you would basically say, this is, this person has won, and there was a certain degree of successes.
Yes.
And then whatever happened.
It was very difficult to actually fully achieve your goal without some sort of pullback.
Yes, there was always it was like failing forward, almost like Broken Compass.
Yes.
But yeah, I thought it was really cool. And then I loved playing out the survival aspect of it. That you remember that we were playing this during the Great Rains, and there was one part.
Remember we fought the hawk?
Yes. And then there was a really cool part where you guys go by a river, and then just all the dead mice are floating in the river because of the floods. Like it's just heavy torrent rainfall.
Yep.
But to them, it was like deadly. These flash floods. And
it's a monsoon.
Yeah, they were standing by a river, and they were like refilling their water skins, and then just these dead drowned mice just like float right by and everything. It was such a cool scene. But yeah, this was a really fun game. I enjoyed this game.
I would come back to this at some point. I know we tend to kind of trudge on and always push forward into new games.
I think that's because we just walked upstairs. I showed you, I got a bookcase full of games that we haven't tried yet.
It's absurd. It's
yes.
absurd, Deeb's level of attention deficit disorder when it comes to all games, both digital and paper.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
I don't play video games anymore, though. I'm tired of getting my butt kicked by the 12-year-olds and 11-year-olds out there. So
well, don't play Call of Duty
as much. No, I don't. Yeah, I do not do that. So okay, so that is Mouse Guard. Yes. That is a winner. It is a very fun game.
2 thumbs up. Do recommend.
I do recommend, though, between the two. So I have both, but for the purpose of this video, I brought the book out. Mm-hmm. But if you do invest in Mouse Guard, I will tell you that getting the box set with the custom dice, the maps of the realm, and the cards that you can use is a much better way than just buying the book like this. Mm-hmm. I actually bought this book first, and then I realized how much more was in the box set. I bought the box set, did not regret it, and then we just wound up having an extra book around.
I recall the cards being very handy.
Yes, extremely handy, and beautiful art on them.
Yes.
So, okay, and then let's talk about what everyone has been wanting to hear about.
Do we know that they wanted to hear about this?
Everybody wants to hear about Conan. Everybody loves Conan. So, depending on whether or not the viewers today have actually watched Malmus. Malmus and I talked about this game extensively, but I'm sure that you have a lot to say about Conan. I do,
and I will try to be
nice.
No, I will. Listen, Mister.
Kind.
I will try to be short because I don't think that you need another video about about Conan. Here's what I'm going to say.
No, you sit at the round table. You must speak your heart.
Here's what I'm going to say. So. 2D20, and this has probably been, I think you have a review video on this as well, and on the 2D20 system where you talk about all of our gripes about 2D20.
I mentioned 2D20, but I think that the thing...
But you did review this. I've watched that video because I'm not just a guest on here. I am also a subscriber.
Right. Yes. So you should all like and subscribe too. Yes. So you can be cool, just like Fishsticks. So
how many times do we have to do that in this video?
As much as possible.
Okay, so 2D20 as a system. I am conflicted on it because I share, if you refer back to Deeb's video on this and probably the video with Malmus about how 2D20 works and the crunchiness of it, I was not a fan of the system per se. But we've done Conan in 2 parts. We used the same characters and we kind of had a revisiting of it after we did some icebreaker or some palate cleanser stuff in the meantime. And what we attempted to do was take this setting and take the basic mechanics and adapt it to Forbidden Lands. And I actually did a lot of the mechanics of the port for that.
Because Free League is the best.
I love Free League. And I also love Free League. I think that we did a good job of it, and I think that the combat flowed better in the Free League rules than it did in the 2D20 rules. But, and I've said this recently as well, because we recently kind of concluded our Forbidden Lands port semi-campaign.
We did. We finished it.
We finished it.
Yeah.
And there was talk about maybe doing another one, and we have our own opinions on that. The problem with the port that we did is while it made it less crunchy and kind of easier for people to do combat, we lost some of the magic. Especially the thing that this book does right and the 2D20 system does right in Conan is the character creation. It is excellent.
It's cool. It's really cool.
It's all, you can do it randomly. It's all background based, and your various backgrounds give you certain perks and certain flaws basically, and you can roll those randomly, or you can choose, talk to your storyteller about doing it. But basically what you do is while you build your character, not only do you generate your stats for your character, you also build a narrative about your character that you can work from. And I had a great time building my character. I built a non-combat character in Conan. Seems stupid, doesn't it? It is one of the characters that I have had the most fun with ever.
I loved his character, though. Not to blow sunshine in your hiney, but I definitely liked I always had said, and maybe I inadvertently, you have accused me of giving you plot armor in this one.
Oh, I absolutely have plot armor.
I almost like our Legends of Conan, the Lands of Conan, were being the adventures that we had. I've always pictured it that it was your character telling
my grandchildren
the stories to his grandchildren about all these different characters that were in the group, and I thought it was such a cool thing. So the first thing that I want to say about this is something, a disclaimer, that even though I think the 2D20 was not a good fit for our group and our style, I do want to point out, and this is something I pointed out in my other videos, and maybe I'm just being politically correct, but it's important to give credit where credit's due. The 2D20 system is very well liked and very popular online. So my recommendation to players who have not tried it is to go out and to try it yourselves.
Try the system.
Yeah, see if the system works for you. For me, it just didn't, because I'll tell you what my number one gripe is, and maybe you can tell me. I mean, you said crunchy in an abstract term, but let me kind of bring this up. But when we stopped and when Swords came out, it felt like to me the game stopped and we played a 3-hour board game. That did
happen, and I agree with that. And part of that is because of the crunch, because there is a lot going on. Not only are you making opposed rolls like you would in normal combat, there's also currency and resource to track in the during combat in Doom and momentum.
And a lot of player mechanics too. Instead of just saying like, I flipped the table up, in between us and everything, you were sitting there saying, well, I'm going to use this skill, which is going to buff this, which is going to give me double damage here, and then it's going to do this.
I mean,
and so
I wasn't doing this because I was a non-combat character.
There was a lot of math that went into it, and because of that, we were playing a board game. We were no longer watching a scene unfold. We were playing a strategic miniatures board game.
What we have in our group is we have a mix of people who are very mechanically apt when it comes to
we have some engineers.
Games.
Oh, we have some engineers, yeah.
And we have some folks who are less so. And honestly, our storyteller is one of the people who is less so. And so...
Do I know him?
Huh?
Do I know him?
No, he's some jackass.
Is he bigger than me?
Huh? He is.
Okay, go ahead.
So trying to referee a complex combat system, and I would call the 2D20 combat system and action economy and everything a complex system, more complex than most. For someone who is not really into handling that kind of stuff, it drug our system. Combine that with, we had some players who were not as technically apt as well. It took me quite a while actually to kind of get the hang of this system. But it did. It had the effect of slowing combat down to a crawl. And we're not talking cinematic, big bad evil guy finale fights. We're talking trash mobs in a lot of cases. So we struggled with that. We struggled with a couple of our min-maxers who really just kind of broke the game. It
was an exploitable system too, I think. I think that was not...
I will chalk this up again to our lack of understanding of it, and maybe we're just getting old and we don't follow things as quickly as we do, and I'm looping myself into that. I'm not putting this entirely on you. I think it was a combination of min-maxing and us not understanding where the rules limited you, because I found myself as a non-combat character. I was basically a smuggler, a little Han Solo, but not quite so much. And I did not invest in combat skills. I was the talker of the group. But I went down, I remember specifically, I went down a talent tree called the luck tree here. And when you take that tree to its logical conclusion, it is very, very difficult to damage or cause harm to a character who has done that unless they do stupid things. So ultimately we decided, we closed out the first chapter and the second chapter, 2 chapters, and over the course of 2 years.
Oh no, we played this like 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah,
so we
played this
did
quite
2D20 for probably 2 to 3 years. We didn't just play it for 3 sessions and to say this is shit and move it. We gave it the chance. And then when we decided to revisit it, we we ported it over to Forbidden Lands and went that way, and that helped a lot for some of our newer players and our less technically apt players. But again, I'm going to say, and this is something that I realized towards the end of our last chapter that we did, we lost some magic there.
I really liked the Forbidden Lands port. I liked doing that, but I agree with you that the loss, we did lose some attention to detail, and we lost a little bit of the taste was not as, the meat was not as sweet. And the coffee was not as bitter. You're supposed to kind of be a little bit of a badass in the Conan as a player character. I get that, and I think so. I think so too. And the whole reason why I have not gotten rid of the books is because the books as source books for the setting are amazing. If you take the rules out of here, if we wanted to create our own rule set from the ground up, these books would still be worth the money that we paid into
And I would say if you decide to do like what we did and port it to another rule system or create or house rule it to hell, use the character creation system as it sits, and then modify as appropriate after you've created characters. Or if you have new people coming in, have them create characters according to this rule set, and then adjust them as needed.
Yeah. Well, that's another whole video discussion as well. But yes, I encouraged as a guy that actually in my Conan review, I said, I am not the 2d20 system is just not my play style. I still wholeheartedly recommend these books.
Yeah.
All the books.
Yes.
The way that the books are designed is incredibly genius. I mean, it is a fun read to read about it. Now, I have to lay it out there. I have a bit of bias in the sense that
Conan is one of his favorite IPs.
Oh my goodness, yes. I think Conan is the best fantasy setting that's out there. I like it better than Song of Ice and Fire. I like it better than Tolkien, and some people are going to say blasphemer, but I do. I love Tolkien and I love Song of Ice and Fire, but I don't like the Twilight vampire stuff though, so that's really out
you're
there.
not a
I'm not a big fan of that.
Girl.
I'm also going to get a lot of hate for this one, but I don't hate it. I just never got into Harry Potter, so it's just really.
I read all the Harry Potter
books. It's not my bag,
it's and they were fine. But it's fine. It's not something that's going to go down in the annals of history. It was very derivative to me.
But Conan, yes, Conan is it was so good, and the world is so rich. And I remember talking actually to a lot of the players, but in particular Malmus. I said, "Hey, we're going to play the Conan role-playing game," and he was like, "Well, why don't we just play D&D?" Because the only thing he knew of Conan at that time was the movie. And then when I kind of showed him the map and we talked about the books and he started reading some of the books.
So the reason that we don't play D&D is because Deeb doesn't like D&D.
We don't say D&D on this channel.
I mean, we can talk about all the tomfoolery of Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, but he didn't like D&D before all that. I have my opinions on.
Hold on. I started on D&D though, and I was just talking nice. I just said nice things about Dark Sun tonight.
You did say nice things about Dark Sun.
I said
and we talked about
nice
Spelljammer a little bit, but
I said nice things about Spelljammer.
But you hate Forgotten Realms.
I don't hate Forgotten Realms.
I think you hate Dragonlance, even though it's actually kind of Magic Light.
No, I like Dragonlance. Dragonlance is okay. I hate 5e. So I just don't. I don't
5e
like
is
the
a system.
5e
it's not a setting.
system. Yeah, I know. So I don't like the 5e, and I don't like the recent writings that happen with. But I think again, that's a discussion about
that's a whole
what's going on at Wizards of the Coast, right?
No, let's not do that here.
Yeah. So I don't like the writing or the direction that D&D is going. But I liked the movie. So
I had actually not seen the movie
It's
yet.
pretty good.
I've heard it's pretty good. I just
it's not as
I don't want to.
It's not as good as Conan the Barbarian, though. I'm just throwing that out there. So. But anyway, so I love this setting. I love your character. I thought your character was great.
He was one of my favorites.
Yeah, it is a very good setting. I miss it every day. I miss this game. I miss this setting.
You do, but remember, and we talked about this a little earlier. Everyone here with us really should have been on a conversation that happened a couple hours ago too, when we had another gentleman here.
It was Patu.
It was Patu.
We had Patu here.
We did.
So
I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
You wanted to say that everyone should have been on the conversation and sat on my shoulder when we were talking to Patu.
I sat on your shoulder when we were talking about. What were you talking about right before that?
We were talking about Patu.
No, before that. Oh man,
Conan. So
Conan.
yeah. Okay. How many of those have you had?
This is number 2.
I know, and you have a very high tolerance too.
I'm old. I'm old. I can do this.
Experienced, not old, experienced.
So it's everything's
All right.
falling
Well,
apart.
anyway, so Conan, it is very good. It's very faithful to the Robert E. Howard. Watch my review on Conan for why you should buy it. Good news, though, there is hope for us, fish sticks.
I remember now.
They are redoing they have just sold the rights to, I want to say it's Monolith, and they
Monolith Games? Yes.
Yeah, they are redoing the entire Conan line.
So
we may revisit the setting.
We may.
With a new rule set.
And thank you, because you have segued into what I was going to talk about before and then forgot, and now we're back.
Okay.
So recently, viewers, Deeb has broached the idea of rejoining the Conan adventure with the same characters again. And he brought this to the group, and 2 of us, myself and Aardvark, who I don't know if he's been on a video yet or not.
No, I don't think he will. He's very introverted.
He is very
introverted. I don't know
introverted.
if he's going to want
But he and I both expressed our displeasure with the idea. And I think some people can identify here with why. We have played those characters for a lot of years. I think their stories have been told and told well. And while we may miss them, we don't want to have them stay longer than they're welcome. I feel that our last chapter, which had some of those characters in it and some new characters, I believe I compared it to the Crystal Skull, Indiana Jones. That was our Crystal Skull episode, and
that's a dick move. By
and
the
we
way.
do not want a Dial of Destiny move.
Because I don't think that. I thought that story arc was very good.
It was very good,
And
but
I did
we
not.
have
It took
characters
place in Nordheim.
We have
and
characters who are getting old.
I did
and
not.
We have characters
think
that probably
that it was
overstayed their welcome.
Crystal Skull.
It is
bad.
It is
though.
not. It is not a deficiency on your part, Deeb.
Yeah.
It is the fact that these characters may have overstayed their welcome.
I don't
Just
think
like I think Indiana Jones has probably overstayed his welcome. And Star Wars as a universe has definitely overstayed its welcome. And Marvel has overstayed its welcome. And DC has overstayed its welcome.
These are our other videos.
Yes, other videos.
Discuss, but yeah. So the good news is that we may be going back to Conan via the Monolith game system. We'll see.
Yes, with new characters.
See what it looks like. I will still use the lore out of these books, though. It'll be very easy. And yes, I agree. Brand new characters. But would it surprise you? I don't think I don't know what his code name is, but our British friend who plays with us.
He is. Yes.
What's his code name? He hasn't. I haven't interviewed him.
He goes by his first name on Discord. So.
Yeah, so we can't really say. No. But he's a little shy too. He doesn't want to be interviewed. But we have a guy that is actually, he is American, but he's originally from England, and he speaks in very English.
He's a limey bastard.
Yes, he is. But would it surprise you to know that when I asked him one time, I said, he and I were playing. We were playing a miniatures. I think we were playing Team Yankee or something. And I said, hey, what's your favorite role-playing game that we've played? And he said, over everything that we've all played, he said, Conan, by far. And he played only the version of Conan with, where we were using the Forbidden Lands rules.
Yes.
He liked that Conan the best. That was his favorite game.
Which
I thought was interesting.
I think our Forbidden Lands port was tailor-made to folks like him and to folks like Jade. He is newer, and Jade is not as technical when it comes to mechanics. So really, when we talked about this, when we were going to do the port, it was to make it easier for the folks who didn't want to keep track of all these stats and currencies and everything else.
Yeah, it was also easier for the GM
too. Exactly.
Yes.
You are one of those
does
people.
Not like, I do not like crunchy rules. And so yes. So I will say that Conan, this is not my favorite game, but I would say this is my favorite setting. So
it's an excellent setting.
It's
an excellent setting. It's up there.
Okay.
It's definitely up there. I don't know. Perhaps I have commitment issues, so I have problems saying that definitively X, Y, or Z is my favorite. But this is definitely in my top 5.
This is not my favorite game though. This is my favorite setting.
Yes. No, I'm talking about settings as well.
Okay.
So, but this is definitely in my top 5.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. That's cool. All right. So let's move on to my favorite game.
Let's move on to Deeb's favorite game.
That's my favorite
also
game.
one in my top 5.
Okay.
Maybe my top 3. Maybe my top 2.
All right. Okay. All right. So,
ta-da!
this is pound for pound. This is probably my favorite game. So Coriolis.
How many years did we do in this?
At least 2.
I think it's been 2.
Yeah. And the crew of the ship this has been
a revolving door of crew.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Yeah, we've had
Again,
all
I
sorts
was
of
not part of the
characters.
origin group for this either.
We played this long enough where we just had 2 or 3 players that just got tired of the setting, but I gotta tell you, honestly, I was not tired of this when we stopped.
I wasn't tired of it either, but we had people who were getting tired, and you have to do what's good for the group.
We did. We discussed that earlier. That was one thing that we were talking about where if you have, because you are sticking up your stingy little nose at household, which I think is so friggin' cool. But that's another conversation. You don't have to defend yourself.
And we've already talked about this. And I'm a team player, so you're probably going to get me to play it anyways.
Raging alcoholic. But basically, the issue with you don't want to force your players to play something that they don't want to play. No. Because even one player not having a good time sitting with their hands folded in the corner, or even not even realizing that they're...
It kills the vibe.
It does. And I don't think... Our players are all great. No one's that petty. But, we did have a player... Well, actually, we had more than one that was not having fun with this anymore, and they were kind of going, "Yeah, I'm ready for." I don't even think they didn't like it. I think it's just like they're ready for a change of pace.
Yes.
So
I've always liked that picture.
I like everything about this game.
Yes.
So
the artwork in here is amazing.
Yes, it is. So tell me. Well, let's talk about what for our viewers who have never, because Coriolis is
It's got something for everybody.
It does.
It's got a magical element to it. It's got obviously sci-fi. It's got there's some intrigue available in here.
I don't think it's a very mainstream game though, so a lot of people might not know what Coriolis is.
Goodness.
So tell us in your words, because I've done a review on this, so watch it on my channel. But in your words, tell us, Fishsticks, what you take Coriolis as. What is Coriolis?
Well, I was already kind of doing that, and then you interrupted me. But no, it's a fantasy game. It's a sci-fi game. I like that it has
it's a horror game.
It is a horror game. I like that it has kind of a Mideast bent to it.
Not kind of.
Yeah. So
unapologetically.
That was a little different than your standard Eurocentric fantasy.
Can I comment on that?
You may.
So it's pretty interesting that was one of the things that I thought that I would not like about it. And after I read the book, it was my favorite thing about the game was the Mideast culture. I thought that was really mixed with I like the hard science fiction of it as well.
Yes.
With a touch of mysticism as well.
Yes, just enough to keep your palate wet.
Yes, absolutely. Doesn't get crazy like, what's that one called? Shadowrun.
Shadowrun is not a science fiction game.
It is a science fantasy game, almost like 40K.
It's more the cyberpunk type thing, and it's been around for a long time. So we can talk about Shadowrun.
No, it's not my bag, baby.
It's my bag.
It's not my bag. Yeah. So okay, so what did you like about Coriolis?
Everything. I know that's terrible.
No, that's good. I like everything about it too. It's my favorite game.
Let me try and find something that I didn't like. I can't. This and Mouse Guard are definitely
interesting.
They may be. I know I said I have commitment problems, but when I said top 2 a little earlier. The 2 I were thinking were Mouse Guard in this.
Wow. Okay. So I know you had. I know Mouse Guard's been your holy grail, but I'm very interested to see you rate this higher than Conan. Well, okay. Let's be fair though. So we're talking about the entirety of the game.
I'm talking the total package.
Just the total package. 100%. 100%. I'm with you.
No, I think the rule set of this is again another Free League game, so it's similar to Forbidden Lands, but not exactly.
Yeah.
It's very easy to pick up. It's also very easy to master. As far as knowing what to do and when to do. From a mechanics standpoint, if I had to say the one point where it really falls down is that because they've tried to simplify, for instance, the skill system so much, you have skills that do double duty. For instance, my character in here, Masood, was a medically retired fighter pilot. And because of that, he had very high skills in like ranged combat, which is one of the skills. So ranged combat applies to ship-to-ship combat, shooting your guns and everything else. But they use the same skill for on-world combat as well.
Right.
So what ended up happening, and this was not the idea for the character concept at all, but it just sort of happened, and because of the situations that we're in, there was a need, so we kind of went with it, is Masood, who was a retired fighter pilot, who was flying a cargo ship. Well, originally he wasn't even doing that. He was doing merc work, and he sucked at it after he got medically retired. But then he was flying a cargo ship, and the only thing he ever wanted to do was get back into a single-seater and do hooligan shit. He ended up being a monster.
Get in the ship. We're doing hooligan shit.
Yeah, he ended up being a monster with an accelerator rifle. Like Golgo 13 levels, if you know that reference, of things going on. And that was never what he was intended to do, but it just worked out that way because the same skill was used for both. And so when it came time to shoot a gun at somebody, all of a sudden 9 dice came out. Coriolis, like Forbidden Lands, is a success-based system for combat and for skill checks. You roll d6s on 6. It is a success, and you're just trying to get a certain number of successes to achieve a goal. So it's a very, we'll call it a dice light. You don't have to have 10,000 different types of dice. You can bust out your Yahtzee set if you forgot your dice bag, and you have all the dice you need.
But I do have something that I critique that I can say. Yeah. The one thing I think that did become problematic with us was the way that the critical injury table works, right? Because you would have a boss or a very high-ranking character that was supposed to be like he's the level boss, he's the guy that's supposed to have, and maybe this is the time where all those hit points would have been good, right? I critique D&D for that the 6 foot tall human can have just as many hit points as a 7-ton dragon.
The problem with and this is where I'll disagree with you on that, but I see where you're going with this. Is the critical strike mechanics in this game basically bypassed health?
They do, and so what you can do is you can roll if you have a weapon like an accelerator rifle that is particularly good at inflicting critical hits.
And you have a whole bunch of dice you roll.
And you have a boss that is susceptible to critical hits, then what winds up happening is that you I like the mechanic of it. I like the theatrics of it, but then you get him a gut shot, he's unconscious for 8 rounds, whatever. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the combat's over,
so you kill all his friends, and then he gets back up and you're like, oh look, it's just you.
Well, not even that. I mean, you just within 8 rounds the combat's going to be over.
Exactly.
And then you can neutralize him at your leisure, and he's downed in one shot. And I don't think that was the spirit of the
I don't think so, and we had to play with some suspension of disbelief to avoid that happening.
I think so, but I think the fix of that is that at some point certain characters should be immune to critical hits, or even you need to score 3 critical hits for them to roll once on the table. I mean, maybe that's honest, the fix.
Mr. Deeb, you just need to be meaner in your encounters.
Well, maybe that's
You're too nice.
So I told you that we're
Deeb roots for his players.
Yeah, we're keeping these videos positive, though.
Yes, it's a sign of a good storyteller, and Deeb is a great storyteller, and so he always roots for his players. But sometimes needs to hold their feet to the fire.
Yeah, kick them in the butt.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear you. So anyway, yes, Coriolis is a fantastic game, fantastic system. I think, and again, I think the thing is we played this for like 3 years. I think I played this for more because I rotated through.
I took a break from the group for a little bit. I had some other stuff going on.
You were like wave 2 though. I think there was 3 waves of players, and you were in the second wave.
I was in the second wave. Yes.
Yeah. So. Okay. So let's go ahead and we had talked about this when we made our last drink after my wife got home,
Yes.
that my phone is getting low on its battery. So I want to, let's go ahead and your drink is still full there. Let's go and let's have another drink. Okay. And then we'll hook this up, and then we should be able to go through our last 2 games, and then kind of go have, we'll go have one drink, and then we'll let it charge for a little bit. You at home are going to notice there's going to be just a little kind of burp, and then we'll jump right back into this. So anyway, as a matter of fact, there are some closing remarks that I need to talk about the future of Coriolis too.
Very well.
Because we need to talk about where Coriolis is going now.
Do we need to handle that now, or can we handle it?
We're at 5%. So, okay, let's just say this really quick.
Let's say it really quick.
So this setting is very epic story-based in the sense that when you play a campaign in this, the end of the campaign changes the setting.
Yes. The second edition will actually be physically like different setting-wise from the first. So
100%.
You need to do the first edition stuff first
with the 3 campaign books.
With the 3 campaign books before you even get into the second edition stuff.
100%. So. And that is I think what's so cool about the Coriolis setting is that we got to avoid the spoilers.
And all you homebrew guys, run the published campaign.
Yes.
Trust me.
Yes. The published campaigns are extremely well written, and we stopped playing only 1 out of the 3 campaign books.
Yes.
So we have 2 more campaign books that are going on,
and there's all sorts we'll never get to because we have ADD as a group.
I don't know. I hope so. Not me. I'll run this tomorrow. If you wanted to pick this up tomorrow, I would play this.
We have some dissent from other players.
I know.
So.
Well, we have gaming fatigue, and we have other games that we want to play, so that's fair. But this, so I backed the Kickstarter for the second Coriolis because the end of the 3 campaigns that are set with this setting, the end changes the actual setting.
Do you have a join link on your channel yet?
Do I have what now?
Do you have a join link on your channel yet? Do you have a Patreon?
No.
Okay. So
no, because it's the most technically inept and boring channel on the internet.
You need to subscribe to these so that we can fund Rob's AA for Kickstarters because he has an addiction.
Okay, so I did back the second Coriolis, and it was and it looks good. It looks really good. But anyway, so there's another whole. This book covers the 3 campaigns, but after the 3 campaigns, this book is incompatible because it changes the setting so much. It is so cool.
Fundamentally changes.
100%. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break.
We'll be back.
All right after these messages. Okay, so we're back. We've got our. We're starting to slow down a little bit.
We're editing magic.
Yes.
My old-fashioned has turned into white wine.
It's amazing. Here. All right. So anyway, okay. So now we are done with talking about Coriolis. Coriolis is probably pound for pound my favorite role-playing game that I have
Coriolis
right now. Yeah, it is so good, and I bought it not really knowing what it was all about.
It was a good buy.
All right, so let's enter a little bit of controversy here. Because
do we have to?
I like this game, and you are not a fan. So, but what's ironic is that you like Call of Cthulhu.
I love Call of Cthulhu. I love H.P. Lovecraft.
You are not a Delta Green fan.
I am not a Delta Green fan, and I can't honestly point at any reason why. I don't dislike the system. I don't dislike the setting. In order to explain this, I think that we need to take a half step back and talk about something. So every player in a game group gets something different out of their experience. Playing games, playing any of these games. Some people want a power fantasy. They want to be able to kill the ogres and roll big damage and embed axes and things. Some people are just there for the social aspect. Honestly, they really couldn't give a shit what people are doing, just as long as they're with their friends and they're having fun. Some people want to do hard intrigue and role playing and everything else, and some people want character development and everything. And I think what happened for me is kind of on that last point there, and this may be my fault, and it may not be Delta Green's fault at all. This could be just a perfectly fine game, and it didn't sit well for me. I could not connect with the character that I made, and I tried. I tried. It didn't land for me, and so I don't want to say anything bad about this game because it could have just been a Fishsticks problem and not a Delta Green problem. So. You have comments on that?
I like Delta Green a lot. I like the setting a lot. The biggest problem that I have personally with Delta Green, and Malmus, he and I discussed this, was that I don't want to get too into it, but we have to suspend,
a lot of disbelief for certain aspects of operations.
Yes. So
I understand, and I share that as well in a less focused sense.
Yes, without revealing too much.
Without revealing too much.
But, yes. Yeah, there's a lot of moments in this game where both Malmus and I had to go, wait a minute, they would never get away with that. Yeah. And so we did, but again, we have to. We're playing a game. We have to suspend a certain degree of disbelief.
Yes.
It's kind of like let me put it in perspective. So you're a computer. You work in computers. You had your own computer company. You're a vice president of a company right now, right?
Yes. So okay. I'm out of the technical realm, so I don't.
Right.
I don't deal with the day-to-day anymore, but I have a background in it.
Right. So when I am trying to describe how a data spider hacks through a firewall in Coriolis, and I'm trying to describe it, and I'm technologically inept, you have to suspend a certain degree of disbelief.
The thing about Coriolis, it is so far removed from quote-unquote real life that it's very easy to maintain that suspension of disbelief.
Yes.
Because we're hundreds of years or thousands of years, or we don't even know where the timing is. This is a completely different thing.
Right.
This is too real, too close to current time, too close to current physics, current world, and everything else. And I have a problem with it too. You may have problems with it for different ways. I
don't have a problem with it. I just say it's a challenge.
It's a challenge, and I get it. And I have that problem with modern day stuff too, because we mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm a gun guy. I've done a lot of training. I've trained with professionals and that kind of stuff. So I kind of know I'm not great, but
most of our group have.
Exactly.
Right.
So most of our group have. I'm not saying I'm John Wick
of it,
or even Keanu Reeves, because Keanu Reeves can run a fucking gun.
Right.
But sometimes when in some of these modern games, when you're doing that kind of stuff with firearms and whatnot, and you see how they handle that kind of stuff, and you just kind of scratch your head and shake your head and go, oh, okay,
you got to remember it's a game.
It is a game, and that's what you have to do.
You got to remember it.
And so I think that's what you're speaking to, maybe not necessarily in that specific way, but in a different way for this game.
Yes, kind of. Yes. So yeah, that's. I think that's the only issue that I have with this game. But there is. I absolutely love the game. I love the game because the writing is so incredibly well done.
Yes.
I love the game because of the heavy emphasis on madness. It is just so great. I think it captures the feel of Lovecraft really good. In the basic game, and then the stories and the adventures are incredibly well written. I really like them. Most of the games that we get, it's really good meat and potatoes, and then I have to add my own gravy. And Delta Green is not a game that I have to add a lot of gravy to.
I wish you would have added more gravy, because sometimes the gravy is the best part of the meal.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is it has its own gravy. So I didn't have to add that.
Maybe that's what it is. I didn't like the gravy. The meat and potatoes were okay. But the gravy just wasn't doing it for it. Needed salt or it needed pepper or something.
And you know what else I really enjoyed doing when running Delta Green? Something that I am not very good at is technology, but I loved making the Intel dossiers.
Yes.
And giving those out to you guys, and then having those Those were very cool. I loved going online and finding random booking photos and stuff like that, and using that kind of stuff for my intel. And I even had photos that looked like surveillance. I found, all I did was just do Google search and go to Google Images and stuff like that. But I was downloading photos that looked like, they were taken from surveillance and stuff. I just had so much fun with that. I thought that was really cool.
So Deebs is going to disagree with me, but viewers, I would say, personally, if you're interested in Lovecraftian horror in modern day, just play Call of Cthulhu in modern day.
Yeah, I disagree. I like the Delta Green, but
I knew you would disagree with me. That's where we're going to.
I do think
we don't always agree on everything.
No, I might agree with you if you said that Call of Cthulhu is a better game.
It is a better game.
I might agree with you with that. I might agree.
I would say
Call of Cthulhu.
I would say play Call of Cthulhu, but just play it in the 2000s.
So Call of Cthulhu is more emphasis on horror. Delta Green is more emphasis on madness. And I think that's a cool part of the game. I'll also say that these guys here who wrote this, they did their homework. As far as I have only one complaint with a supplement that was written by one of the guys where, oh my gosh, and this is another, we were talking about making a video on this, but the guy's personal politics made it into his writing, and it was blatantly obvious.
Stop it. We're not talking about politics in this. That's a different video.
It was just like they had done such a good job on all the books up until then, and then and I hate to say, but it was right around 2020 that he wrote this book, and I read the book, and I was like, oh.
I will prime you, viewers, for the video that is inevitably coming about politics and gaming. We actually. Our gaming group spans, I would say, all political spectrums.
Oh, totally.
We have conservatives, we have libertarians, we have liberals, we have ultra liberals in our gaming group.
I don't think we have any extreme people, though.
We don't have idiots on either side.
Right.
There's liberals, there's far-ish left people, and then there are stupid people.
Yeah. We have some true neutrals.
Yeah, we have some true neutrals, and there are stupid people on the left, and there are stupid people on the right.
Not in our group, though.
Yeah, we don't have those people.
No.
We have people who can.
Yeah. Everyone's just there to game.
From a political standpoint, we're there to game, and then after game, we can talk as friends, and we can disagree on things, but we can do it as adults, and we can have intellectual conversations about it, where we aren't just yelling at people a la social media.
Yeah, 100%. But I think as a writer, someone who's creating one of these games, if someone is writing, oh God, and we're getting into the video. I don't want to get into it.
Let's not do it. Stop it.
Yeah, stop it. So I'm not going to discuss it. But basically, there was one supplement I was reading where, and you know what I did too? I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but after I read the guy's supplement, I was like, what the deuce? And then I went and visited his social media, and I was like, okay. You are very entrenched in your ideology and very fanatical in your and it's tragic because it spilled over into his writing. Now the good news is that out of all of the Delta Green supplements I have, out of all of the Delta Green rule books and of all of the Delta Green adventures that I have, this only occurred in one writer, one book.
Okay.
And so but I will tell you now, and it's something to think about, that as a writer or as someone who produces this kind of stuff, I am now, when I see his name on the supplement,
you're wary.
I'm wary.
Yes.
I'm willing to give him a chance because he's written some good stuff.
I get it.
But I'm kind of like going, okay, are you going to lecture me, or are we going to?
So I'm going to spoil the video that we're inevitably going to do on this.
No, because we said we were going to stop.
We're going to stop, but I'm just going to say one last thing, and it's going to spoil it. Our official stance on this topic is keep your fucking politics out of gaming, regardless of what they are. We're here to have fun and have an escapism from reality. Do that as you will.
Fully. So so I also think that your character. I'm going to circle back.
Circle back.
Your character that you made for this game was he was a CIA agent.
He was a U.S. Marshal.
He was a U.S. Marshal. That's what I said.
Obviously, that's what you said.
So he was a U.S. Marshal, and I just don't think. I think we just had a discussion in the kitchen while we were taking a break over this and everything. That you're tired of playing like the direct.
I'm tired of playing the guy with the gun.
You wanted more of an indirect, and I think you would have had a little more fun if you would have made a character that was a bit more investigatory in Delta Green. I think that what you should do is you should make a new character. And then we should try Delta Green again.
I have a great idea. So. Let's just play Call of Cthulhu.
Well, okay, yeah, that too.
Okay.
I mean, the one thing that's cool about Delta Green, though, is that it gives a reason for all of these players. Like, it's always been a challenge for Call of Cthulhu.
Oh, I didn't realize they were OGL. So.
Oh, yeah. So, the one thing that's so cool about Delta Green is that... Because, well, for one, it plays like X-Files, the role-playing game. I really like that.
Yeah, I did not get the X-Files vibe.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Nope.
So, well, then that's my fault. That's on me. Because I feel like this is X-Files, the role-playing game. But on the thing that I liked about it is in, like, Call of Cthulhu, you're always trying to, so explain to me how a janitor, a parapsychologist, a private investigator, and a city planner always wind up together, always, every time, constantly doing these ghost story, where they're exploring these ghost stories and stuff, and it just doesn't work. And in Delta Green,
how does it not work? Because you don't have to have those people in modern day. It's not required that you.
No, I'm talking about in regular Call of Cthulhu.
That's not required.
Yeah, but in regular Call of Cthulhu, it's hard to justify why this keeps happening to the same group of people that are kind of an odd couple, while Delta Green gives this natural cohesion to the group, and it's easy to explain, and it makes sense about why they're constantly being pulled in for these operations.
So for background, for people who have not played Delta Green, the idea is everyone is part of some sort of cell, and generally it involves some sort of government employment. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in law enforcement, but you do have to be a government employee to be part of a Delta Green group.
Yeah, we had a character that is a doctor. We had a character that was an anthropologist. We had a environmental protection agency character. I thought he was a very interesting character.
I do recall that on one of these missions, I was specifically recruited for the mission because I was stupid. And I won't spoil the mission because I think it's a published mission.
I've used all published ones.
Okay, it's a published mission, but basically I sucked at a certain type of subject, and that made me eligible for being on this particular mission. Because if you were good at that particular subject,
that was such a good
story.
That was such a good. Me and my oldest son were talking about how good of a story that one is, and it's just like. Spoiler, but it's like a math equation is just.
Oh, I did all that. All that work to obfuscate what it was. And you're just like, you just told everybody which adventure it is.
Yeah, it is called The Last Equation, and that is a store-bought little soft cover adventure. It is so good. That was one of my favorite ones.
That was probably
that was so great.
Again, I did not connect with my character. It may not be Delta Green's fault. It just didn't work out for me. But did we do 2 or 3? I think we did 3.
I did a number. You did not. I did 2 different groups. So I had 50% of the group played at one time, and 50% played the other time. And I think you were
of the ones I did.
Half.
That was
so
probably
I don't know how many you did.
That was probably my favorite scenario.
You have to admit that was a great story.
I just did. Didn't I?
Okay. Yes. So admit it again. Say it again. So
I liked it the most out of all of them.
It was really good. It was really good. So anyway, so I like Delta Green. I think. Again, if you're looking at Call of Cthulhu, 1920s, that time period is so good for horror.
It's very good.
But this...
Because we didn't have the understanding in the 1920s that we do now.
I know, but this is... I love how there's more emphasis on madness in this game than horror. And that the human mind is so frail, and I think it's as a Lovecraft and Cthulhu fan, I think this definitely... it is loyal to the source material. I disagree. Delta Green.
Delta Green did not feel Lovecraftian to me.
Okay, so let's talk about my most recent.
The most recent.
That one, and I don't know if you want to do that and everything. So
what do you want me? Which one do you want me to
Well, okay, one is the basic rules, but it takes place in modern times, and then the second one is the source book for the time period that we're running.
So,
yeah, we're doing Broken Compass.
Okay, so let's talk about Broken Compass.
So you tell me about Broken Compass.
So Broken Compass is very rules light, and I like it for that. The storyteller take all of their dice because they won't need it.
Yeah,
because 100%. The storyteller does not roll dice in this game at all.
Yep.
It is entirely player run as far as random numbers go.
And it's, what did you call it? The storytelling, where it's like the
It's a collaborative storytelling game.
That's what,
so the storyteller is there to referee certain things and to set the stage, but the players
and to tell the story. Shocker, but yeah, they tell the story. So.
Well, honestly, the players have a very large hand in telling the story as well.
They do.
Especially for action scenes and whatnot in here.
They do. It's very fun.
In the way that we are playing this right now, I know this is the core source book. I don't know what this book is.
That's the core source book.
This is the core source.
That is like that. Well, that's the rules. So you have to buy the adventure journal if you're getting the rules. Okay. The Golden Age is kind of like information, like campaign information about the background if you want to play in the 1930s.
Okay, so I will say this: what we have been doing in our current gaming session, I won't call it a campaign because we've decided that this is going to be very episodic for us, almost a palate cleanser. You might be able to do this as a campaign, an extended play type thing, but I'm not sure. I think you would need to. I think this is better served as a let's do a complete arc, and then let's go to something else, and then let's revisit it later. Almost like almost your weekly pulp, whatever type
No, yeah, we were talking about this earlier, right? So this is not like Game of Thrones where each season kind of cuts into each other. No. This is more like a movie trilogy.
There's a start, middle, and end for each one of these, and then the
next one, all of a sudden you're in India, right? And then that's where
might be the same people, might be some of the same people, might be different people. Do it that way, I think.
So we are currently playing a adventure in this right now. We're playing a campaign in this that takes place in 1937 in China.
Yes.
And you guys are looking for the tomb of the first Chinese emperor.
Yes.
We have some brilliant characters. Every single character, I usually have favorites, but in this current game we're running, I love every single one of these characters. I think these characters are great.
So we have a medical doctor who dabbles in.
It's like a relief worker.
He's like a volunteer. He's a
Canadian, eh?
He's a Canadian.
Yeah, not the player, but I mean the character is like from Canada.
Yes. You're. Eventually, it's just going to degenerate into a Scottish accent because that's what always happens. But he dabbles in archaeology as a hobby, not
anthropology.
Excuse me. As a hobby, not as a profession.
But he's kind of the brains of the group.
We have a French national spy who works for
French national that works for the British government.
Works for the British government as a spy
out of Hong Kong.
And
she's kind of the unofficial leader of the group. She plays her character well.
We have an heir to the. Is it Colt or Winchester?
Browning.
Excuse me.
Browning automatic rifle.
We have an heir to the Browning Empire. Obviously, he's American.
So he's like he's almost a Tony Stark philanthropist kind of character.
So we have a Nepalese Gurkha.
Yep. Who's playing that guy? Yeah,
that's me. I'm a Gurkha.
Yep.
What else do we have?
British pilot.
We do have a British pilot, and he flew in the war.
He will remind you.
He will remind you that he flew in the war.
Yep. And he even flew past the Red Baron once.
Yes.
He will make sure they didn't shoot at each other. But oh my gosh, he flew past.
They were within visual range.
The very Baron von Richthofen, right past me. I swear.
Yes.
And he owns a seaplane that they use to get around and everything. So
this is great. It's rules light. It flows really well. Everything from just telling the story, adventure actions, including combat and whatnot. It's very rules light. It's very easy to pick up. I really can't think of anything I don't like about it. You might have.
It's funny because, and I apologize if I read you wrong, but I actually, in my review of this that I just put out last week, I said I don't think this has enough rules for fish sticks. I thought
that's right. You told me that.
I did. I thought that.
I disagree. I think it's right where it needs to be.
Okay. Well, let it be known. I'm going on the record. I stand corrected. So.
It's because, and some people may understand this, and some people may not. There are games that you take seriously, even though they're fun games, and then there are games that you're in to have fun and have a good time. This is a good time game. This is a beer and chips game. It really is.
It is fun. We find ourselves laughing quite a bit.
We do. We do. There's a lot of humor.
I love how we roll the successes and then we say, okay, so that was an amazing success. That was like 2 levels above. What do you think that looks like? And I love bouncing it off you guys. I said, what if he does this? And then you're like, oh my God, I love it. Yes, let's do that. And then I describe the scene and I get to describe it theatrically. And we have the mummy music and stuff playing in the background.
So, and every skill test or combat test in this is essentially playing Yahtzee. So again, get out your D6s, put all your other dice away. It's very simple.
That's actually a very good point. So in this game, it's not about high numbers. It's about matches.
It's about matching.
Yeah, so, you're about matching dice is at your degree of success. So actually, I don't want to tell you because this is your video. Tell me what you like the best about this game.
I think I've already kind of articulated that. I like that it's free-flowing. I like that it's easy. It's light. The rules are light. Our newer players, again, I'll talk about our less mechanically inclined players.
Say, flip through that. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yes, sir.
So that they can see the interior and see the art.
Hey, there's a person with a frying pan.
She's going to hit somebody with it.
Absolutely. That's a menacing frying pan. Oh my gosh, there's full-page art in this one. Huh, who would have thought?
Yeah. This is the same. This is that. She's like my second favorite artist, and this is all. This is a complete Italian team that have ported this game to English.
Your new players, or your players who are not uber left-brained, and who are not into the. We've talked about this a lot in our gaming group. The non-technical players will pick this up immediately because it's very easy, and it's just a fun game. I would say if there's a drawback of the initial thing, and this is, I do not have personal experience with this because I have not story told, in this game, but I'm relying on Deebs for some of this information. Is the downfall here is depending on where and when you want to do things, you are responsible for finding the content, the history, and kind of doing the work to flesh out
from a GM perspective,
from a storyteller perspective, to flesh out your campaign. And so I would say that if you're running this, prepare for some work because there isn't really in this particular source book. There isn't just do X, Y, and Z, and your players will be happy. You have to build this one. This is a framework. It's an excellent framework.
I love the rule set. And
an excellent framework, but you are going to have to put the work in to flesh it out.
100%. I think that this is a great game for new players and experienced GMs. I think that experienced players will enjoy this, right? But I don't think brand new GMs are going to struggle with this. Because it doesn't talk to you about what is the standard heavy bomber in the Japanese Air Force in 1937.
You're going to have to go to Google and Wikipedia.
You totally have to. So at the time when our adventure is taking place in 1937, Japan is actively invading China. And there's absolutely no information or anything like that in this book about like that time period. It's a very historically significant event if you want to base your game in the East.
And you don't have to. You could do this in World War I Europe. You could do it in India.
It is, but I mean, the obvious antagonist in this setting is, let's be honest, it's the Nazis, right? It's been done. It's okay that it's been done. But in this book, there's only 2 pages about the Nazis, and it doesn't have a lot of information historically about them. So
honestly, if this isn't your first day on the internet, you have lots of information about Nazis.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's funny because this is the most.
There's this guy. I don't know what's going on.
Oh yeah,
here,
supernatural stuff and everything. There is, but for all the games I've played, this one is the most rules light. But I find myself doing the most preparation on this game because I am doing the most research online.
I could see a ton of game prep on this.
Yeah, and I do, and it's okay. I like it, And the stuff that is in that book is good, but it just left me wanting and needing more.
This is another game too where treat this. I mean, let's look at the font right here. Treat this like Indiana Jones. Suspend your disbelief. Yeah. Don't get uber technical with it. This is not a simulation game. Have fun with it.
Can I tell you too? One of my favorite things about the game too is how shameless it is.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, look, we're playing Indiana Jones, a role-playing game without the IP. We're playing The Mummy without the IP.
There's a sister game called Outgunned that runs on the same rule set, and it is a blatant ripoff of John Wick.
We will have a review of that. That just got in the mail today, though. I literally just did the unboxing video on that earlier today. So, I agree that the one downside that I could say about this game is that from a GM standpoint, there's not a lot of
Is there a difference between this book and this book?
Yes.
What's in this book?
Rules. And
what's in this book? This is rules.
This is not rules. This is like a background for running it in 1937.
Okay, so
there's a few additional rules to it. Like there's 1937 specific character skills and things like that. But if you just go with this book right here, you're running it in the 20th century. So you're running it like Tomb Raider or Uncharted.
Okay,
right?
Gotcha.
Okay. And this one is This is The Mummy. This is Indiana Jones. This is
Nazis in Egypt, even though that didn't really happen.
Yeah, that's India right there.
Well, I'm just not this particular. This is Nazis in Egypt.
Yes. So this is the quintessential setting, in my opinion, for like the swashbuckling archaeologist, treasure hunting, occult kind of.
Yes, and we can play it that way. It's very easy to play that way.
Yeah.
Regardless, we have a non-combat. I'll call him a non-combat character.
In this game?
Oh, yeah. And he's still, he can still have some adventuresome moments.
He does. So I guess the only down thing that I could say about this game was like, in a source book that is supposed to be out about 1937, I want to see an example of a telegram. That they sent in 1930. I look at Call of Cthulhu.
Yes.
Like in Call of Cthulhu, you open up the source book, and it shows you what a New York subway car looks like at that time.
We're missing that.
And we are missing that. Let's talk about the positives. The positives, so one of the things that I think is really, really cool about this system is that it rewards you for punching, kicking,
throwing people off the train. It doesn't, so the way that the damage works in this is it uses a unique a luck mechanic. So you're losing luck, you're not losing hit points. And when the person's luck runs out, you punch them and they fall off the train. Or you knock them unconscious. And it doesn't matter if you're using guns or if you're using your fists or you're using, there are, you do get bonuses for using certain weapons, but the thing that I absolutely love about this game that we have never experienced in a game before is in-depth fighting with like whatever you get. Some first game night we were on a train and someone hits a guy in the face with a serving tray, and then you remember you grab that one gigantic cook that is just like he looked like a Bond villain, that
right?
That didn't go very well.
No, and you're grabbing him from behind, and he's like banging you up against the back of the, and we're playing that, and it's mechanically working.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought that was such a brilliant fight. It was very fun. It was very clear when the
players also. If you have your two-sided dice or your random D&D coins or stuff like that, this game will make use of those.
Yeah,
you don't have to sit in your dice bag anymore.
So I did. I don't think I told you though. So there's a coin mechanic.
Yes.
Where you have like a death coin or
it's called a luck coin.
Luck coin. And at the very end, if you are out of luck points, You can use your luck coin to prevent yourself from being killed. You can even use your luck coin
you can help
to prevent another person from getting killed. Yeah, it's that whole you're leaping at them and catching them right before they fall off the cliff, and you need some sort of a coin. You can use a quarter or a penny or whatever, but I forgot to tell you, I went out and bought on Amazon. I found some like ancient, they almost look like Roman money and everything, and they've got a head on one side.
I'm surprised you didn't get our British friend, who shall remain nameless, to 3D print some for you.
Yes, I've been bugging him about that, but he's doing that huge house remodel right now, so he's busy.
So he's trying to play Monopoly and upgrade his hotels. So.
Yes, yes, he is upgrading his motel. So currently we're playing Broken Compass. Okay, so and we've gone over what you and I both like about it. I think it's going great. I'm having so much fun with it.
I think everybody is.
Yeah, I think that Aardvark actually talked about, he and I were discussing, it wasn't him specifically, but it did come up in our conversation. We were discussing this game, and he said that this is very action-oriented. Yes. So there's a lot of action to it, and he and I both wonder if, and it goes along with, are we playing this? We call these games, our group called these games palate cleansers.
Yes.
Where you play one adventure and then you go on and play something else, and then maybe
you might come back to it.
We come back to it and play the next game. Because he and I both wondered aloud that with all the combat in this, would it get old? Would it get stale?
And again, we talked about this a little bit at the beginning, or at least I did. If you trying to make a full-fledged campaign about this with continuity and everything else, I think that would be challenging, because I think it would get old after a while. But if you use this in an episodic manner, either just going start to finish on a certain episode and then picking up another episode and not trying to do continuity, or using it as a palate cleanser like we do between other games, I think that's where this is going to shine. Because it's a lot of fun.
Can we talk about Outgunned? I mean, I know we haven't looked too much about it and everything. So.
I haven't cracked a source book, so I don't know if I can speak about Outgunned with any sort of authority whatsoever.
I get that, but we briefly discussed in the kitchen earlier. We were talking. I asked you, do you think you could do like a John Wick type of setting with these types of rules?
I think I could. Again, we talked a little bit about the suspension of disbelief, especially if you have any sort of expertise in the subject matter. Again, I'm a gun guy. So, but even though I'm a gun guy and I understand how things happen in the real world, I love Jackie Chan. I love John Woo. I love all those.
John Wick.
And I like John Wick. I've only seen like the first movie, maybe the first two. I don't remember. It kind of went down a rabbit hole. Again, remember, don't watch TV, don't watch a lot of movies, don't do this stuff.
So let's talk about where we're headed next. Yeah. So, and then I think we'll probably bring it to a close, because these like 3 or 4 videos that we've streamed, we keep stopping, but I think we're way over.
We probably are, and people are probably already bored with us. And if you're still here, thank you. Yeah. We're very appreciative.
Yeah, right. Who wants to listen to us? So next, once we're done with Broken Compass, our plan is to do...
Do we really have a plan?
We do.
Oh,
We do.
Please tell me the plan, because I'm not privy to the plan.
Okay, so what we did is we sat down and I took a big stack of the games that I have that we haven't played. And some that we had played, because Conan was in that stack.
Yes.
And I said, okay, so after we're done with Broken Compass, I think this was actually before we even started Broken Compass.
It was before
we were finishing up Coriolis, and we said, what do we want to do next?
We took it to a vote, and Broken Compass actually came out on top.
It did. It did. Yeah, everybody wanted to play Broken Compass. So
this is a democracy, not a dictatorship.
Yeah, and universally, everyone loves Broken Compass so far. So
I think so.
That's
yeah.
good. Yeah.
It's not.
It may not be everyone's favorite, but everyone's having a generally good time.
It's a good time.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
So we had like a stack, and then everyone could sit there and say they had an absolutely not file. We're absolutely not pile.
We allowed everybody to poo-poo whatever they want.
Yes. And I was very sad to see that Twilight 2000 got poo-pooed. And I was really looking forward to running that. What else got poo-pooed that was like in the absolutely not pile? I think more stories.
Walking Dead got poo-pooed.
Did it really?
It did.
Walking Dead got poo-pooed?
It may have been me who poo-pooed it.
Okay.
All the mill sims got poo-pooed by our female members.
Yeah, they're not too keen
Which
on
is fine.
that.
There was I get it.
Twilight 2000, and then I think
Mutant Year Zero got poo-pooed.
No, it didn't. Mutant Year Zero was up there for our campaign game.
Was it?
So we elected to have two. We elected to have two palate cleansers. One until the summer, one over the summer, and then we agreed that we would start a epic campaign in the fall. So the way that we are currently looking, we're
Broken Compass is our current palate cleanser,
and we should finish that by summer. So we should finish it.
Easily.
We have probably 3 more sessions in it, and then after that we had talked, and we were talking about Marvel, the Marvel superheroes.
We have been talking about Marvel as a palate cleanser because
for the summer.
Yeah, I am on board as a summer palate cleanser for Marvel.
Yeah, I think
but
it'll
not
be
a
fun.
Campaign because I don't think it'll.
We're going to run it as kind of like a cross between Tales from the Loop where everyone's kind of a coming of age character, and at Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters.
Yes.
So we're going to play it as mutants, and I think we're off to a good start with a couple of the character concepts.
Well, we have
that I've
2,
heard.
and they were
excellent
for all of our viewers. They
them.
may be excellent, but they were alcohol fueled.
Yeah, but they were excellent characters. They were really good characters.
We really have some inspiration when we all sit around and drink straight whiskey.
But I sat with my 19-year-old moron son, and I said,
you don't give him enough credit.
He is also a GM on his own.
Yes.
And I said, hey, this is my character. This is my story concept for my Marvel game. And he actually stopped, and he was like, that is awesome. He really said, that is really cool, Dad. So I think I have some good stuff planned for you. And then after that, with our campaign, we have been discussing, and this would start in the fall. We have discussed. I think what was on the page we discussed Symbaroum. I think
Symbaroum is a candidate.
I think Mutant Year Zero was actually up there.
I don't know that it was, but
epic.
Maybe I'm remembering it differently.
It's very good. And then I think that now I just got Household last week, and I've been reading it, and I love it. And you are the only person
is trying to sell Household too.
No, not only that, Patu and his wife Jade, they both were sold on it. They really love Household.
I might be that. For those of you who are in
Aardvark told me on the phone he was interested in Household. So I'm going to review it. You don't have to.
I understand.
I'm doing a review on it.
So let it be known
soon,
that Fishsticks, regardless of his opinions on things, is a team player and has specified as such. So Deebs has probably already won this argument, but I have my reservations about it just because, again, it's the same system as Broken Compass.
A little bit more advanced, but yes.
A little bit more advanced. I don't know.
Same mechanics.
I've cracked the source books, but I have not looked at the
same
mechanics. I'm not overly intrigued by the setting, honestly, and I think that's what does it for me. And also there are some, let's call them scaling issues. And if you've read the source book, maybe you'll understand what I'm talking about. But it's not up there for me in the want category. But if we have 6 players and 5 of them say, I want to play this, then who am I to be the dissenter?
I think you're going to like you like intrigue games.
I do enjoy intrigue.
I think you're going to like the intrigue part of it. And I think if you can get over that hump, that you're saying, hey, the scale of this doesn't make sense to me, right? If you can get over that hump, then I think you're going to really enjoy it. We were on our break, we were discussing character concepts.
We were discussing character concepts.
And you were actually...
And I can discuss character concepts until I'm blue in the face.
I know, but you were actually jumping in and saying, oh yeah, okay, well maybe I could do this, and maybe this would be, but we have to see. It is not in stone, so there's, Symbarum's on the table.
If we do this, we will come back and we will talk about Household. I'm sure, I know, I personally have already watched a couple of videos on YouTube about Household that do a much better job than we have on getting into it.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about it.
Oh my God. It's going to be so awesome when I say I told you so. It's going to be so
There's
cool.
not going to be an I told you so.
We're going to, okay, so mark my words. It is, what is it? It's May 17th now, right? the I Told You So video will be coming in 6 months.
There will be no I Told You So because understand...
6 months.
Understand that Fishsticks is a team player. A team player.
All right, so would you so if I ever ran, we're speaking hypothetics now.
Hypothetics.
So let's have fun.
Okay.
If I ever ran Outgunned, I would run it as a palate cleanser for sure.
Of course.
I would run it either as a espionage Ronin, and I don't mean Ronin as in the masterless samurai. I mean like in the movie, yeah.
With the best car chase ever.
Yeah. Without a doubt. At least we can agree on that.
Of course.
I would run it either as a Ronin kind of espionage, or a John Wick. I love the...
Could we do a heist? Could we do an Ocean's 11?
Yes, I do think... so it's funny you say that. I almost wonder if... But maybe they only steal from bad people. Because I like...
Bad people. Because everyone is the hero of their own story.
Well, I like... it's interesting you're bringing this up and everything. So in my games, I like your characters have to be heroes, or at the very least, anti-heroes, right? So I am not the. If you want to run the chaotic evil character,
it's funny that you hate D&D so much, and yet you come to the chaotic evil
because
alignment access, the D&D-esque.
It is. Well, it's the basic building block for most role-playing games. My D&D was my first role-playing game I've ever played, and I thought it was amazing.
I would argue that most gaming systems have dispensed with the 3x3.
With alignment, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so too. But it's also it's a good describer to most of our viewers know what chaotic evil means. They know what neutral evil is and stuff like that.
Actually, most of our viewers know what chaotic evil means, and most of our viewers may have a preconception about chaotic evil. And I don't want to discount our viewers, but I suppose... Again, here's another video feed. We could talk about chaotic evil for an entire hour how to actually play chaotic evil in a mature way versus an immature 12-year-old way of murder hobo-ness.
Yeah, no. I don't your characters have to be... So the whole point of the stories is that my stories, at least when I run my games, it is ultimately good triumphing over evil.
Yes.
And it kind of reminds me... So my mom was a middle school teacher, and one of the things she taught was ancient mythology. And so when D&D came out, you remember in the 80s there was the big satanic scare.
Satanic panic.
Yes, exactly. So when I first started playing, I must have been in 6th grade, and I started asking my mom, I said, hey, are you okay with this? There's demons and stuff like that. And my mom looks at me and goes, well, are the demons bad? I go, oh yeah, they're really bad. So what's the point of the players and everything? What do? I go, well, they got to beat the demon and everything. She goes, so good triumphing over evil, right? And I go, yeah. She goes, that's an amazing thing. That's great. I want you to do that. She goes, tell me something. Do you know what a dais is? And I said, a dais? Yeah, it's like a raised thing that's up. And she goes, what about a tapestry? Do you know what that is? And I said, yeah, a tapestry is something that hangs on the wall and everything. She goes, where'd you learn that? And I go, well, playing D&D. And then she goes, okay, this conversation is over.
So despite what you may think, your mother is much cooler than you think she is.
She was, yeah.
She still is.
She's pretty awesome.
Dragon Lady.
Yeah, she is.
Everyone should know that Deeb's mother is the Dragon Lady.
Yeah, she is.
And it's a self-appointed title, but we have all of his friends have adopted it, and she is now the Dragon Lady.
She is pretty awesome. She is pretty awesome. So, but yeah, so growing up, she definitely kept me with heroes, and she allowed me to see I was very young when I first watched that alien burst through Kane's chest. My mom would not let me watch chainsaw movies. She was not into
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well, or like Jason X or whatever. She wouldn't let me watch any of that garbage. But if it was science fiction horror, she was like, "Yep, there's a point to this. It's good." So I saw Alien at a very young age, and I thought it was amazing. I saw The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing changed my life. Actually, Alien changed my life. And I saw those movies with my mom on old school VHS. And she was great about...
It's a pity there were no strong female characters back then.
Right? Right? Like Ripley. My daughter, who is only 10, has not watched the entire movie, but you can bet your bottom dollar I let her watch the scene where Ripley crawls into the power loader.
Of course.
And defeats the queen to protect her child. I thought that was just... I said, if you learn anything, if there's anything you learn about being a strong woman, this is what I want you to watch. Yes. And I had her watch that, and it was pretty darn cool. But anyway, we are way off topic for it
happens a lot.
For games and everything. So, so the feel that I get from you is that you are not. So you're on board with. So I have to. Okay, so I do have to blow sunshine up your hiney.
Woo!
I do think your character concept for Marvel was amazing. I really love that character.
Sure.
And you're not a big Marvel fan, but you admitted that you enjoyed Invincible quite a bit.
It was fine. I don't know that I enjoyed it quite a bit, but it was fine. I have the same superhero fatigue that I think a lot of people have in general audiences nowadays.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. You came up with a really cool character.
We did, and it's again, I am a team player, and if you hand me something,
so did Nora. Nora came up with a really cool. Yes. That's her code name, but she came up with a really cool character concept for.
I am hopelessly my Marvel character is hopelessly infatuated with Nora.
Yeah, I think that's a.
So
that's
we're
a
doing
cool
we're doing the creepy teenager. Angle.
That is a cool thing. So I think we're going to have fun with Marvel. I also think Marvel's a one-trick pony. I think it's not.
It absolutely is. It'll be another palate cleanser, and it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. And then I think from our campaign, the feel that I'm getting from you is you're like, hey, household's not my choice, but if everyone wants to do it, I'm going to make it work.
Again, I'm a team player.
Okay.
But again, I don't know if it's going to be a campaign. Is it going to be a campaign?
I think what we would do is start it in the fall and see where it takes us. So maybe we'll take a break at Halloween and we'll just play an old school Call of Cthulhu game to make you happy.
14 years. Mm-hmm. You know how many times we've played Call of Cthulhu, viewers?
It's funny because
I've played Call of Cthulhu. I've run Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah. Call of Cthulhu.
Deeb has played Call of Cthulhu. Have you run Have you played or just run?
I played. So I was a sophomore.
Okay.
Or junior in high school. So Deeb has both
played and run Call of Cthulhu, and Fishsticks have also played and run Call of Cthulhu. 14 years. You think we've ever done this together? No.
I can say his name, but the guy's name, his name is Kyle. Kyle was a friend of mine in high school, and he was in our role-playing group, and he was the best GM that I have ever met in my entire life. And he introduced me. He said, hey, there's this new game, Call of Cthulhu, and he brought it out for us.
So you also have a nostalgia Call of Cthulhu thing.
Completely.
Mine was Dave.
Yep.
And Dave, if you're watching this, and you know who I am, for some reason, it's random chance, but hats off, my friend.
Yeah.
Hats off.
Yeah. We would get together for like spend the night parties, and Kyle would make up a Cthulhu adventure off the top of his head, and it would be amazing. And he was an amazing GM, and he is the man that introduced me to my that was when I was in.
Well, we were discussing this earlier, and part of Cthulhu is
my 30-year love affair with Lovecraft.
Part of playing Call of Cthulhu, and many of you will understand this because you've already played it, and we're preaching to the choir here. But for those who haven't, part of the Cthulhu or playing Call of Cthulhu is the out of game ambiance. Play it during the winter. Call of Cthulhu is not a summer game. Yes.
Light the candles.
It needs to be getting dark at 5 o'clock at night. You need to be in a room that's only lit by candles.
And you play scary ambiance music.
You don't even need to play scary ambiance music necessarily.
You do.
Deebs likes music.
You do. I love music.
I think it's situational. But one of the things that we did for Call of Cthulhu was everyone had a candle right in front of them, in front of their character sheet and whatnot. And when you died or went insane, you blew out your candle.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we didn't do that, but that was we did have the candle in front of everyone.
Yes.
And then even in some points in the adventure, I would do things like just play Rain.
Yeah.
Like I would have the music and I would just play like rain and the players would hear just rain and stuff outside, or just thunder or creaking of boards or just, I used to have so much fun with it. But all right, well listen, this is like a 3-hour long video. It's way
Is it
too
really
long.
3 hours?
It's this section is 51 minutes and 18 seconds.
I apologize to everyone out in YouTube land. This is going to get like 2 views and then everyone's going to downvote it.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that a lot of my viewers are not too keen on these Meet My Player videos.
You know what? That's okay.
I don't get they want to see the reviews and
they just want to see you page through books. I page through some books. I'm not as good as it is.
That's the whole point though. We page through these books and we discuss the books. We discuss the way the games work and we discuss their strengths and we discuss their weaknesses in a pretty objective manner. So come on guys, watch these videos. It's okay.
It's fine.
We're doing it. We had a lot of fun filming it. So
we did.
Hey, listen, so thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe. I think that Fishsticks and I are going to, Malmus has moved out of the area, but we're going to try and get him online, and we're going to try and get some discussions about controversial issues regarding gaming. Yes.
Are we going to do face reveals, or is that slated for later this year?
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that on camera here.
Yes.
I think I had always thought that when I retire, I would be able to reveal my face and kind of do a face reveal and say, hey, this is who I am.
But
there have been some things going on at work that kind of make me think maybe I should lay low for a little longer, and then maybe I should get a healthy buffer. You know, and so Malmus has retired from, and you know that he worked in my, well, obviously
I also know that he will be here next week for various reasons.
He will. That would be a good time for us to do another video. Maybe we'll do a live question. That's a great idea. Oh my God, you're smart. So yeah, he will be here because he's being, I don't want to say. Okay, but anyway.
He'll be here.
He'll be here.
He will be local once again.
He will. And that is the thing is like, okay, so that stuff he's being pulled back for is I want to wait until that is all done before I do any kind of face reveal or anything like that. So, so I want to wait on that before I do a big, huge face reveal. And I may not even say what I do. I may just say, hey, this is what I look like. Because I don't know, you know, you guys, hold on, tell us in the comments. Do you guys want to see what we look like, or you really just want to focus on the books and stuff? Because I've had a lot of comments where people say, I like the format where you're just kind of looking at the books.
Honestly, no one has watched this far.
They've all fallen asleep.
They haven't. They're like, what the hell?
They've turned it off. So. No, there's some dude that's painting right now, and he is literally listening.
Painting his miniatures?
Yeah, and he's giggling at what we're saying.
Yeah.
People thought Malmus and I were hilarious. So yeah,
that's good.
Fully. You know. So I think people are gonna like the Fishsticks Deeb. But
we'll see.
I think you're right. I think we do need, because he is here next week.
He is here next week.
We do need to have
He might be staying at my house.
Deeb Malmus. Is he really?
Well, we've talked about that. He might stay at my house, and I might just loan him a truck while he's up here.
Okay. So can you guys drive down here so we can do a video?
We could, or we could arrange a camera thing, or
no. If he's here, we need to do an in-person
So here's the
one.
problem: is the timing between when he arrives next week and when I fly to Orlando next week is.
You're not supposed to give out personal information. You should have just said when I fly out of town.
Out of town.
Because now people know we're not
to Orlando next week.
Yeah. Now people know we're not from Orlando.
We don't live in Orlando.
Nice job, dumbass.
No one here is Florida man. I'm very sorry that we had to reveal some information.
They figured out that we can't go. We have to fly to go to Disney World.
We have not been in any of those news articles. I'm sorry to disappoint. So.
All right. Well, anyway, listen. People don't want to listen to us make plans for next week.
No, they've clicked off.
Okay, so we will try next week. I'm going to try and convince Fishsticks to bring Malmus down to my house.
It might happen.
He lives about 45 minutes away. So I'm going to convince him. I'm going to do it. I have powers. So I will convince them to come down, and we will do a controversial topic. Hey, guess what? What do you guys want 3 old farts that have been playing role-playing games.
I'm the youngest guy. Just saying. All
they've
these
been
other guys
playing
are old.
role-playing games since the 80s. What would you guys like us to discuss in a completely no-holds-barred, politically incorrect conversation next week on camera? So we'll see what we can do. So, all right. Anyway, hey, listen. This is Deeb. We've been talking with Fishsticks. Hey, Fishsticks, thanks for being here tonight. Thanks you for joining me. This was a lot of fun. Let's do this again.
Absolutely.
All right. And for everybody else out there, thank you very much for watching. If you want to give us a like, that's great. If you want to give me a dislike, that's up to you. It's your own fault. It's literally in the name of my channel about how bad this channel is.
It's pretty terrible.
It's awful.
I'm going to dislike this video.
We're working on it. So anyway, thank you again for tuning in. If you liked it, give me a like, give me a subscribe. And anyway, we'll see you in the next one. Maybe we'll see you guys next week. We'll see. Good night.